Hi all. So in previous videos, we've covered the subtractive method for value drawings, where we're putting a gray tone of charcoal across a whole piece of paper and then using the eraser to carve out the light from it by erasing away charcoal. Today, we're going over the additive process for value drawings, where we're simply adding white conte and black charcoal. So your lights are coming from adding the white chalk instead of the eraser. So we don't need that. What are we drawing on? If you do this drawing with white paper and white chalk, it'd be a little tough to see. You can do that project, but it just means adding more dark charcoal to build up with the white and mix grays. And you can make a full value range that way, but that's not this project. If we were in the classroom, I'd have you do it on black paper with just white chalk. But for this project, I'm looking for mid-tone value paper and then using the dark and the light through adding chalk and charcoal. Okay, so what counts as a mid-tone paper? If you have construction paper, that would work great. Yellow is too light, but any of the other colors should work fine. If you have black paper, grab that. Try it with just the white chalk. If you happen to have drawing paper laying around that is of a gray or brown or anything like that, that's perfect. If you don't have those things, maybe you have a paper bag somewhere in your home. Find it. If it has writing on it, don't sweat it. Just draw on the inside of the bag. You're gonna cut it out anyway. Your drawing should be fairly small. Mine is 11 by 7, and anywhere in there is fine. So 8 by 8, 10 by 10, 11 by 7. I'm not really worried about size as long as it's small enough that you can really develop the drawing instead of trying to cover more ground. So I got my paper by cutting out the back of the bag here. So you can get several drawings out of one sheet. That's value for a paper bag drawing. Your materials are white conte and compressed charcoal and a paper towel for smudging. No eraser, no brush, because you don't want to turn your brush gray from the mixing of the white and black chalk. And a full-size stick of conte is too large to work on its side for adding value, so go ahead and snap that into a more manageable size piece. Same with the compressed charcoal. You're going to draw a curly queued up piece of paper. So take a sheet of printer paper and cut off a ribbon of it. This is 11 inches by 2 inches. And you just take that on a pen or a pencil or a wooden spoon handle and you put it like that and you roll it up on itself. Doesn't need to be perfect, just to where you put some curl in it. That's right, we're curling paper today, boys and girls. Like that. Curl it up, get it nice and tight, slide it off, and it stays on a roll. Okay? Nice little curled up thing. And then you put a twist in it somewhere, and you tape it to a board, to a wall, to a table. Whatever. If you want to pin it to your table, feel free. I don't care. Not my table. Tape's fun. Here, I taped mine on the board, which you can't see because of the light. Here you go. So I taped mine on the board to have a nice little curl in it. If you're thinking, boy, this project seems like it'd be a lot simpler if I didn't curl it, left it straight, and just draw it like that. Well, that's pretty lame, isn't it? Give yourself a challenge, and plus that's where the drawing comes from. It's much harder to make this look right, to make it look good, if you try to make this kind of easy. Give yourself a couple twists, make it interesting, because the more curled it is, the more things you have to draw. Alright, so you're going to tape that up in some way that gives you some curls. If this seems short, or if you want more challenge, you can also cut a longer strip out of your drawing paper pad, either width-wise or length-wise, whichever way you want. Roll that up so we have a little bit more curls to play with. So you've got a piece of paper all ready to go, your paper bag, and you start by taping it down. You can tape it to either your drawing board or your paper pad. You're building first through your lights, your white conte. I rather use that than carve in these big black outlines to start. It's the same process we've used in the past where it's add value, smudge it down, add the light, smudge it down, back and forth, back and forth. There's a balance here with finding the structure and finding the value, finding the light and shadow. They really do go back and forth. So with my process, I'm constantly finding and losing the form, finding and losing structure. And that's okay. The whole process through you're checking the angles, you're measuring. You can measure the size of one cylinder to another, one straight edge of the ribbon to another. You can measure the distance between the curves, but you want to check the angles of those cylinders. Think of it as a cylinder and a cone, and you want to measure the angle of the straight edge to make sure it's going the right direction. So it's finding and losing these specifics as you go. That cast shadow is so important. That shadow grounds it to the wall. It's a point of contact. So the drawing is not about just draw the object and you're done. It's about draw the light hitting the object, hitting the wall, wrapping around the object, wrapping around that cast shadow. This paper is not great. It's slick and it's flimsy, but you can build it up. The more conte, the more charcoal, the better it gets. So pour it on. It's going to make grays when you blend it. So use those grays. Add more charcoal. Add more chalk. Let it mix. And don't be afraid of smudging it and seeing what happens when you mix it. That's where the fun is. That's where the drawing is in the mixing of those values. Back and forth, back and forth. There are two parts to this drawing, value and structure. We've covered the value, but the structure is kind of my favorite part here. Because if you look at the basic shapes of it, you have a cylinder and a cone. I'm using a printout of a photo of the curly cube to show you this. So you have a cylinder and a cone. And you have these straight edges. Each of the side of the cone is a straight edge. I'm showing you that. This way. So it's a straight edge, then the curve happens. A straight edge, then the curve happens. You can think about it in terms of how this line is the outside of this side and it flips to the inside of this cone, right? And up here we've got straight side. That's a torn bit, but it still functions the same way. Straight side, and then the curve happens, right? So you don't track this through. Straight edges, and then the curve happens. But I love this big S curve that happens through here. Here's some student drawings. These are done on black paper using just white chalk. These drawings, they really found good structure, and they built up a ton of charcoal, a ton of chalk. So be inventive, be dramatic, and pour on that chalk. The hardest part of this is the setup. It's a little technical. The raking light, find a paper bag, rolling paper. Take your time, do it right. I believe in you. I don't know why, but I believe in you. Okay, go.